So we will have a short roundtable to match the timing that was been shortened. Initially, the theme of the roundtable was about gamification, serious game in education and training, a must-have for better learning or a playground for better teaching. But what's behind that? What's behind the topic? Actually, it's a bit provocative, but the idea is to say, is it really worthy to have a gamification process to learn or not, or to better learn or not? And is it simply something for the teacher to have fun jobs? Because I heard you this morning, you said, I love my job because this is playing. So the thing is, do we learn to play or do we play to learn? Talk is yours.
Let me clarify something. I've not been using game for teaching, except
No,
it is on.
It's on.
Yeah, it's green. Yeah. Well, how we've been using game in our virtual reality course is as a project. So they had to design a game, so by a group of 3 students, as a mini project throughout the course, 5 to 6 weeks period, and that was, I would say, the natural framework for the student to master these 3D interaction techniques. We were wanting them to put in place, to experience through. We gave only a few structuring guidelines. You should have this type of interaction and so on, and then they were rather free to invent any gameplay they would like that would fit, as long as we had those type of interaction we wanted, involving locomotion, involving manipulation of object, throwing, various actions, because we are a lot into full body, making the user use full body movement to take advantage of this into virtual reality. So this is our point. So it was kind of one of these strong guidelines behind the project structure we had. That, overall, students really like they get really involved. But of course, there is this issue of time. It's very often some of them, in the end, they cannot make it because they don't have enough time to master, this framework such as Unity. It requires. It's not that easy to master from just a small optional course with 4 credits. Yeah. But overall, the majority of them, they were successful. So this is my only experience to take advantage of game to attract students to learn the content of this course of VR. Yeah.
Okay, so that means that this was really a way to catch up students to come to join the course to actually learn about your topic through the gamification process.
Yeah, so although game is not in the course title itself, so okay. I think they are more attracted by the fact VR in itself is already attractive. But on top of that, there is this game-oriented project.
I would say we have Greg, and Greg wants to say something.
Thinking about learning and education, I guess, is different from my side of things, because I'm very much not classroom-based, in that the groups I'm dealing with are a subset of the general public and will be doing sort of the learning and education in non-captive space. Imagine a botanic garden or something similar where there's a lot of other demands on their time. So I think for me, if we're looking at, is it a way to, better education or a way to enjoy themselves, I think it's very much in the enjoyment space, because if we can get that enjoyment, if we can get that capitalize on the short time that we have, then the type of learning we're trying to do, the type of material we're trying to teach, I think
Craig,
that's really kind of where we sit, and I
should
appreciate
we say
it.
something? Because
Yeah.
no one understands. I understood space.
So, Greg, I'm sorry, but
Craig, we didn't understand
the quality of the
you.
speech was, I mean, our speaker is very
It's the audio,
trouble,
not you.
sounds very difficult to understand. So,
I'll try again and see if it works. I'll also go a little bit slower. We Scots tend to speak very fast. So,
maybe if you could speak higher, but
Can you sing
you,
it?
I can do it.
you have okay.
Yeah. Okay, we are trying to fix it.
Shall I try again, or are we?
Okay, there it's better.
Okay, cool. See, I'm trying to think what I was saying there. So, effectively, the looking, looking to apply this sort of education I'm working are sort of non-captive audience, botanic gardens. So for me, it's definitely a case of how we maximize the learning in the short space of time to have people, because we don't have the luxury of putting people in a classroom for however long a lesson lasts. So I can appreciate where we're coming at how we do learning and how we do apply games gamification in a slightly different way, which is very interesting to hear how a classroom situation differs from what we're doing. That's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's. Should I
Yeah.
continue?
Go ahead.
I think it's really important. You're talking about classroom. Yeah, we're learning and teaching together with this question for this panel. What's more important, gamification in learning or teaching? It has to come together, because if you also teach games, game design, and you forget kind of yourself to play, then you either have no credibility in a way, but also maybe there's there's a whole scale of understanding between games and gamification. You just think you're giving out badges or points, or is it really about the transformation that games and play can lead to, and the rise of motivation that I think is so important for the power of games. And that is, for me, the essence of using games for education. I don't know how you see that. And I think virtual reality offers a great possibility, again, also for playground, because it's kind of a new technology now with Oculus Quest 2. Everyone can kind of afford it at home. I was at a VR conference last week, which was extremely odd on Spatial. I don't know, do you know the app, Spatial.io? No. You have scanned your upper body, and then everyone kind of floats around in space, looking a little bit like themselves. It's like uncanny valley per se, and then someone stands there and speaks and has really big notes there, and then someone else scribbles a donkey on it, and then someone else deletes the notes by chance because they're playing around, and it's complete mayhem. It's really, you see there's a new media, and we don't know yet how to use it, kind of.
Greg, did you see that? Did you?
No, I'm just enjoying the discussion there. I mean, I definitely think augmented and virtual reality, are really exciting new technologies. I've had the pleasure. Well, I own an Oculus Quest 2, so I definitely get the enjoyment factor there. And I've had the pleasure of experimenting with the HoloLens from Microsoft, and I can definitely see how those technologies can be applied. I think for me just now, it's more a factor of cost and scale. As much as we'd love to have, maybe a classroom for those devices, it does get when it comes to cost. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens once the technology gets to a point where it can be in everyone's pocket. That'll be a really exciting day.
Thank you, Greg. Has anyone some question or remarks to do on the ongoing speech? No one? Shall we go ahead? Yeah.
Perhaps just a small comment about the initial question you have asked at the beginning. Is gamification good for the student to better learn or for the teacher to enjoy his teaching? And I think the 2 points are very related, because in general, when you ask students why you like this content or this lecture or this course, it's already related to the professor or to the teacher and the way the teacher presents things and enjoy his teaching. So if we manage to enjoy our teaching, I think automatically people will get it better and the learning will be better. And of course, when so it's let's say it's a duality, and I think we can gain in both sides.
So you're saying that it's efficient? Because at the end, the result is that supposed to be in education and training, it's supposed to get a result.
At least the experience shows that there is many added value, and there is a lot of enhancing of motivation, engagement, self learning, which is improved with such approach. It's more or less a fact. It's not hypothesis.
Yeah, because we had a talk just previously that teach us, actually it was you, Greg, who showed us that actually there was some difference on the second shot of testing, that the result was better, but globally at the result, finally, there was no such a big difference between the results of the non-game-based and the game-based. And actually, the real differentiation was more on the enjoyable factor than the learning factor.
That's a fair summation of the outcome. And I think that really for me is a question of what do people find enjoyable. Another piece of work that I did prior to this one, actually, we went and asked the public, what is it you enjoy in a game? What would you want to see? And the main takeaway is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, and people will like opposing things. And I guess the same will be for students as well. You may have, students like puzzle games and students like learning material around that. I think, as we touched back on one point, but understanding that enjoyment is important. I think.
Yeah, sorry, I think you need to repeat the last sentences because it was completely shut down.
Sure, no worries. Saying that basically that, lots of senses, but you may have students who like different types of game. So if you say a puzzle game, student A might like it, student B might dislike it. And it's then how do we understand that enjoyment and how we're able to replicate it in a way where you're not, I guess, diverting a lot of resource, away from teaching, at the same time providing an experience that, the majority of students or majority of participants actually find enjoyable and take benefit from.
Thank you. I've moved to hear you because otherwise I didn't hear you. So thanks a lot. Any comment? Additional comment?
I heard keyword enjoyment. Is that right? Yes. I can say something about that. We have been talking a lot about using games for teaching equals fun or enjoyment. It doesn't necessarily have to be, because I think in this way it's just another method of teaching or didactics, which needs the same kind of preparation and conveying or persuading or whatever. But for me, I think activation or engagement is the real reward when something like this works, like using games or playful approaches in teaching, and then feeling engaged myself, but also see the students being engaged. I mean, we talked before that it's not always about having fun, of course, but the real treasure is engagement or motivation, I think. What do you say, Ronan?
No, that's why we choose them as a project topic to design a game. So, of course, that's support motivation and make them be, well, hopefully creative. But this is their degree of freedom, design space. This is where they can come with a crazy idea, yeah. And so to complete what I said before, we have Oculus 2 Quest that all of them have this, and during this pandemic time, they could bring it with them at home, and they could organize out of the school. So the course was not that disrupted due to the fact they could not gather at school, but they could borrow the devices. And so this is important for them to actually hands-on, as you insist a lot. Indeed, they must be this dimension. Code and test and move.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Did you or did the students then meet in collaborative spaces in VR?
Not yet. We don't have such tool, but in the future that would be something to consider. Well, each year we buy, let's say, like 10 of these HMDs, Oculus Quest. So maybe after a few years we'll have enough so that each student within a group will have their own at home, and then that's where, indeed, sharing a virtual space through these devices might be possible, yeah. But at the moment, only one of them could try the virtual environment, and the other one would be through Discord or through Zoom to write and share code. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Any last comment before we close the session? No, so I have one. It was, to catch up on the last keyword, it was a very enjoyable moment of speech and talk. And I thank you everyone for joining us to this last afternoon of the GSGS. Hope to see you soon, next year at least, for another topics of gamification. And I think now we have some protocols and some types of activities to close up.
First,
Applause.